Welcome to Ottawa Business Matters. I'm Sam LaPrade, and I am so excited because this is an opportunity every single week for us to talk about business in this community, and business is at the heart of so many things we do, and I know who knows that, and that is SueLing Ching, President and CEO of the Ottawa Board of Trade. Hello.
Hello, Sam.
Wonderful to have you here today.
Thank you.
This show is just, we've got so much great feedback. I mean, people are excited about this show and excited to have the opportunity to focus on business. There are so many issues. I don't know how you do it. You've got so many different priorities, but at the heart of it all is making sure business thrives in this community. So talk to me about some of the things that are on your plate right now.
Certainly, yeah. So for us, business is thriving sort of is in two buckets. So one is how do we directly support businesses? So at the Board of Trade, we run programs, networking events, so businesses can learn from other business leaders, from business experts, network with each other and promote their business. So we support them directly, and everybody else can support our local businesses too by buying local and promoting local. And then the other piece of it is what do we do to advocate for business so that we have a competitive business environment? So lots of times, you know, there are policies around tax or labor or trade that directly impact our businesses. So making sure that the government understands what's important so that we have a competitive business environment, that we're able to attract businesses to grow and be entrepreneurs and take that plunge. And so that's another part of it, making it easy and open to do business. And then the other part of advocacy is making sure that as a city that we have a place where people want to live and open a business and visit. So that has to do with city building issues like making sure we have a thriving downtown, of course, making sure that we have accessible transit, that we have enough homes, those kinds of things.
Yeah, so important. And when I think about, you know, obviously the pandemic, I don't like talking about it, but the reality is it did change, not only for Ottawa, many cities across the country feeling the same way. So what are you doing to sort of move that forward and transition, if you will?
Yeah. So the pandemic, I know sometimes it's like it never happened, but we definitely are still feeling the impacts, and some of those impacts, as you said, will be with us now forever, right? Consumer trends, workforce trends, etc. So during the pandemic, we were very on the ground, like distributing rapid tests and really looking for programs to support businesses as we asked them to lock down. But during that time, we did start thinking about how can we lay a foundation, particularly from a policy and strategy perspective, to make sure that we had a robust economic recovery. Now, we've had additional challenges, of course, that businesses are facing. There's been a slow return to office. There has been a change in the way that people work and live. So businesses have had to continue to be really nimble in how they deliver services. And Sam, you know this, we saw tremendous resilience and creativity during the pandemic of businesses that just pivoted on a dime, right? And so what we said actually is that we have to harness that sort of dynamic approach that businesses take every day and insert that into how we are planning as economic developers and as elected officials for the future. So, so we continue to look at how can we support small businesses. They are not out of the woods. Right. We've had, you know, some recent news about some of the loans that the federal government had put out, and we had hoped for an extension and hadn't received it. So that will affect some businesses as well. How do we, as a policy, from a policy perspective, make sure that businesses have the capital that they need, that they have the labor that they need? These are some of the issues that they continue to face as small businesses.
For sure. I think we're tied on who loves this city the most.
Okay.
You know, I mean, we both love it. I think to myself, why wouldn't anybody move here? The quality of life and everything that's you know is offered in this city, attracting that talent. I know you've done so many different special events, and you've brought leaders to the table and had these robust conversations. That is a piece that I think is so crucial to the work of the Board of Trade.
It is being able to, so talent has been, we do an annual Ottawa Business Growth Survey, and talent has been at the top or in the top 3 for the last 12 years, right?
Wow.
As a business issue that people are worried about. And so, and then during the pandemic, it continued to change. A lot of people left certain sectors. For example, you know, the hospitality sector, a lot of people ended up going into different sectors. So it is an ongoing issue, I would say, and it happens locally. So locally, what we need to do is promote Ottawa as a wonderful place to live, because we know it is, right? So making sure that people understand that it's a fun city, that it's a diverse city, that we have a ton of amenities and culture here as the nation's capital that other cities would kill for. Right. And so we have excellent healthcare. We have world-renowned hospitals here. We're getting, upgrades on that as well. Right. So healthcare, we have our universities and our colleges. So we have a lot to offer here for people to live. And I know that we talked about this before. They can live anywhere now, so people can live here. That's part of attracting talent. And then we also have to look at the policies that the government is setting to allow us to bring in talent too from other countries. Because what we know is that in order to drive our economy, we have to have people immigrating here as well.
Yeah, such an important piece. And when we think about the downtown core, everyone's got an opinion about the downtown. It doesn't matter if you live in Orleans or Stittsville. Everybody has an opinion. Lots of great advice in terms of how to move forward there. Working with, I see you with all sorts of leaders, elected officials and business leaders working on this. This is not going to be solved by the Ottawa Board of Trade alone. This is a collaboration.
It 100% is, and so we saw it as the top issue. To be frank, we saw it last year. We said this is the top issue facing Ottawa. Having the public sector presence and the federal presence here has been it's been a blessing for us for a long time. Probably insulating us a little bit from other economic factors in many, many ways. So because of the workforce strategy changing, both in the public sector and the private, but because of that specifically, because we've built the downtown for the federal government. The buildings are literally built for them. The businesses are built up around them. So when we changed that market overnight, that changed the vibrancy of our downtown. We're not saying go back, but we're saying when we transform, we have to do it together because it's multifaceted. It's about where people work, how we can get more people to live there. It's a number one asset for our tourism economy, which is so important to our entire region. And that there's safety and security, that people feel safe and secure in the downtown as well. So we declared that, and we've brought, all of the key economic stakeholders to the table. And we intend to launch an action plan that we move forward together. But what we need to understand is that every level of government has a role to play in that. That every level of government and everyone in our region has a vested interest in making sure that our downtown is vibrant and thriving.
So important. And when you think about, obviously, the downtown core and what the downtown core has been through, I mean, there's no secret, it's been through a lot. But I feel that there is this willingness to everyone to just work together and make this happen. I feel it more than ever.
Yeah, I think there's a willingness too. And Sam, it's important for people to understand there are already things moving forward. So I say we have an action plan coming, and we do. But we already see the city making strides in terms of incentive programs for conversions, looking at transit, looking at housing. We see many things happening with the local business community to try and animate the downtown. We see economic stakeholders, including the downtown revitalization in their own strategic plans. So things are already moving forward, but it will take a whole of community approach, including everybody who lives in our community, to understand that the downtown directly impacts every part of our city.
Yeah, for sure. And when you think about other communities, and I think about shopping in Westboro or heading to Manotick or heading to Orleans to do some shopping, they're also vibrant areas that are really exciting, and noodle stores popping up and coffee shops, and I love going to different parts of the city as well and really exploring all of that as well.
Oh yes, I mean our neighborhoods are fascinating, right? And it's a big part of what can attract people to live here or to visit here as well. And so we need to embrace those, but understand that we're all connected as well.
We are all connected. What other issues are top of mind? What's keeping SueLing Ching up at night?
You know, we're really focused on city building issues. I mean, these are issues that are not necessarily unique to us, but that we really have to address. So making sure that we're working closely with other levels of government, getting the support we need to make sure that we have things in place like housing, like transit, like top-line healthcare, education opportunities, those kinds of things. And then really making sure that, you know, we do understand that we have a changing economy, of course. Like the world is a wide open place for us, but that community, that the local entrepreneurs, that they really are the heart and soul of our city and our region. I just attended the Canadian Urban Institute just hosted an annual conference here a couple of months ago. And, you know, I was really struck by this concept that they shared that, you know, all of the problems that we have nationally will be solved by cities. Because in the cities, that's where we have the greatest opportunity for innovation and creativity and collaboration. And so and not to say the governments at other levels are off the hook, but that we really need to understand and appreciate that we own our future in these cities. And the cities across Canada, including Ottawa, you know, they're such an important part of our economy and our culture. They really are important to the quality of life of all Canadians.
Absolutely. I want to send people to the Ottawa Board of Trade website because you've got all the events there. We're going to be talking about 40 under 40, lots to talk about. SueLing, thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today.
you, Sam.
I appreciate it. SueLing Ching, of course, she is the president and CEO of the Ottawa Board of Trade. Lots of great guests coming up. The one and only Erin Benjamin's going to join us on Ottawa Business Matters. Come on back. Well, when I think about rock and roll in this city, I think about the one and only Erin Benjamin. She is the CEO of the Canadian Live Music Association. You're watching Ottawa Business Matters. We're going to tell you why music matters as well to business in this city. But there she is, the rock star herself.
Oh,
How are you?
I'm great.
No pressure at all.
Right?
Yeah. So, Erin, you're everywhere. I said this to SueLing earlier as well. She's everywhere. You're everywhere together. Why is it important that you, SueLing Ching, are together driving this city, just two people that are trying to make this city work?
Do you know, thanks for having me, first of all. I feel so privileged that I'm actually living in Ottawa, right? So the Canadian Live Music Association has a national mandate, but at the beginning of the pandemic, I decided that Erin Benjamin really needed to get more engaged at the grassroots community level to try to make a difference where I live, for myself, for my children, and certainly for my industry. And what I found when I came a little closer to SueLing and the Board of Trade's work was a great opportunity to start to insert the narrative of why live music could help be a problem solver to some of the situations that Ottawa is certainly facing. And so here we are today. I think I'm SueLing's #1 fan. No one works harder in or for this city than SueLing, except maybe you. I mean, she's making, along with the Board of Trade itself, a monumental difference in solving some of our biggest challenges. So it's been really exciting to bring live music closer to the business community and have some conversations that I think are ultimately trying to facilitate movement towards, again, solving some of these problems on behalf of all, not just artists or live music companies or festivals, certainly those are part of it, but also solving problems for small business, some social problems that we might be facing in downtown core and beyond, and really working together on this amazing city building agenda that the Board of Trade has prioritized.
Yeah, beautifully said. And I mean, when I think about Ottawa, and if I was to take away Blues Fest, the Jazz Fest, City Folk, the Rainbow, and countless other, I would be so sad, because those are just the fabric But then I get really excited about the economic side of that. Not that I don't mind rocking out myself, but the economic side of that is big. Whether it be a concert at a Canadian Tire Centre or Blues Fest downtown, all of them come together really to add a lot of that money.
Okay, so great point. We're talking about the ecosystem.
Right.
So there's a venue ladder in the city, and you could have equally said the National Arts Center. You could have said Live on Elgin. You could have said the Bronson Center, Redbird in Old Ottawa. You could have said Queen Street Fair, Centerpoint, and Schenkman. I mean, also all of these spaces, places, venues, and organizations and the human beings behind them make up this incredible ecosystem that, frankly, the pandemic, I said the P word, I hope that's okay, the pandemic really helped us to amplify and articulate what this venue ladder is and why it matters to the future sustainability of cities like a nation's capital, for example. And so all of these venues that we've named are instrumental in building momentum around economic, social, and cultural impact. And they do that together. And that's why policy that reflects cultural and fiscal policy and from noise bylaws and beyond are hopefully, adaptive enough to facilitate the business actually happening. So, for example, parking a tour bus outside the Bronson Center can be complicated. It's on Bronson. It's a busy street. We need to make sure, and this is maybe a bit of a random example, but it really does make a difference and is very connected to Mayor Sutcliffe's Music Cities, I think, vision and the policy that exists today to help facilitate the ongoing growth of this business segment to make sure that we're creating the conditions for concerts to thrive as they intersect Ottawa economically, culturally, and socially.
100%. So I'm going to tell you, I'm a bit of a hip mom.
I know it.
Oh, yeah. So I brought my daughter to see the Bare Naked Ladies for her 15th birthday.
Fabulous.
But we decided, okay, we could, drive down to the NAC and go see that and maybe get dinner. But we decided we're going to stay in downtown Ottawa. So we stayed at a local hotel. We walked over to the NAC. We had a fantastic supper, rocked it with the Bare Naked Ladies. We might have met them, but anyway. And then we spent the next morning shopping at the Rideau Centre and hanging out.
Love it.
That's what we want, right?
What a fantastic experience for your daughter. You're a great mom. And look, I mean, we can do that in this city because we can connect those amazing dots, right? Music tourism is one of the fastest growing tourism segments in the world. And I had the opportunity to speak in the fall at the Tourism Industry Association of Canada's annual conference that was here in Ottawa at the Shaw Centre, talking about the potential for music tourism. But you just put it in a great soundbite. I mean, it is that simple. What is music tourism? Music tourism are fans really enjoying live music, but also the experience. If we could draw a circle around that concert venue, all of the other activities that we can enjoy when we're out for either a weekend or a night. And it's really important that we work together to maximize that and understand that potential exists. And again, I'm going to go back to the Board of Trade and some of the really bright business minds in this city, and Mayor and Council who when we're talking about a nightlife economic action plan that's now in motion formally for this city, we're going to look to leverage those opportunities. And so back to the venue ladder and the ecosystem of live music, we need to make sure we're addressing the health and future sustainability of these types of small businesses to make sure that there is a music tourism opportunity to promote in the future.
Beautifully said. And I can't imagine that there isn't a concert you haven't been to in this city, by the way. I'm watching you on social media. You're out a lot. And we're encouraging people to do that and encouraging people to invite people to this city to participate as well, that tourism piece. So you intersect with so many. I mean, I think about, we're going to talk to a restaurant owner in a little bit. You intersect even with restaurants. I mean, you're kind of like the hippest gal in town because you're at the intersection of all of these things, right? Yeah.
Well, first, you're too kind, Sam. And it's wonderful. I mean, the fact that you see me out a lot is because there are so many great reasons to be out. Too many, and there are many nights I wish I could be in multiple places at once, like you, I'm sure. But absolutely, I mean, I'll say it again, the intersectionality of an experience like attending a live music concert, to dinner out, to a hotel, to transportation, Uber, public transportation, parking. You're going to fill up at the gas station. You're going to pick up a pack of gum at the corner store. All of these opportunities need to be taken together to understand the opportunity that's on the table today. And there is, look, How many of our artists were nominated for Junos the other day? Many. Talk, 5 Juno nominations. It's incredible what this city is managing to do. And I should give a shout out to the rapidly growing and amazing Ottawa Music Industry Coalition, led by the fabulous Melanie Brule, who's doing a lot of work on the ground to build capacity in our local artist ecosystem. And we're seeing the fruits of that. So as our artists grow, as our venues build capacity, as we understand the intersectionality to all of this incredible music tourism, Ottawa is on the map now with a great potential to be a global concert destination. And when I say global concert destination, we have to give a shout out to our friends at Blues Fest, Jazz Fest, the big festival, and Arts and Culture Assets, the National Arts Center in the Ottawa community, who have been doing this work for decades. And I think part of why we're talking more and more about that is because we're realizing Music City's policy and philosophy have been gaining ground around the world. In fact, we're a late adopter here. So it's wonderful that we've really started to sort of see what's in our immediate future in terms of potential. And we've got some catch up to do, but that's okay. I really feel great commitment coming from Mayor and Council on this piece. And we've got the assets, as we're talking about, and we can streamline on strategy. And that's why organizations like the Board of Trade, Invest, and Ottawa Tourism are so fundamental from my perspective to really maximizing and reaching that potential. We are all on the same page. If we're looking at things like nightlife economic action plans and strategy, and we're understanding who's in what lane and what we're each responsible for, imagine what we can do. Imagine when Ottawa is a global concert destination. Imagine when, and I'm sorry to be cliche here, but it's important about the economic impact. Taylor Swift is not coming to Ottawa. We're simply not a large enough market. If we unpack the Swift economics, or everyone's talking about this because it's real. So okay, we can unpack that. Just wave your hands when I'm going on. We can unpack that. Well, Taylor Swift, we don't have the venue the right size. It doesn't matter. It's scalable. Right. It doesn't have to be Taylor Swift, but it could be one day, right? So the economic impact, the potential for that economic impact, whether you go to shows or not, it is going to find its way to you.
Absolutely.
And this is why understanding the potential of live music and the intersectionality between business and great strategic policy matters to everyone who lives here.
Absolutely. We only have a minute left, I'm so sad to say, but I have to ask you this. I love giving people things to do. It's just my thing. What do you want someone watching Ottawa Business Matters to do today that would advance your work?
Well, thank you for that excellent, interesting question. So I have to break that down into 2 things. If you're able to go to a show, pick a music venue you've never been to, big or small. The Bronson, Redbird Live, Queen Street Fair, Live on Elgin, National Arts Center, so many amazing ones to choose from. Go see a show. They're incredible. They're just such a range of programming right now. It's unbelievable. If you can't get to a show, go to your nearest streaming platform and pick some Ottawa artists and hear them and be proud of what we're creating in this city, because it's just the beginning.
Yeah, beautifully said. And there's just so many people in this community that want to do good. And I think about the board and the Ottawa Board of Trade and the work that's being done there. I think about all of the people coming together, of course, and the resilience that we've seen over the last number of years. It's so exciting. Like I said, we only have about 30 seconds, but inspire us. How are you sort of moving forward? I worried about you on some days because you were working so hard. Yeah. But how do you sort of move forward?
Sam, I'm getting out of bed with a spring in my step these days, partly inspired by the work that's happening in Ottawa, and I know in other cities across Canada and around the world. I'm seeing real hope for especially our small and medium-sized live music businesses and organizations as people like you get interested in this conversation, as people like Mayor Sutcliffe really start to understand the potential and power of a music city. It's been years. I've spent my entire career talking about this, and I feel finally, and maybe thanks to the pandemic, that we understand not just the role live music can play, but how it impacts our quality of life. And that's very meaningful and inspiring for me personally.
Beautiful. Erin Benjamin, thank you so much. CEO of the Canadian Live Music Association. It's been my pleasure to spend time with you again today. Thank you so much to Erin for spending time with us. We're going to meet some incredible leaders. This is Ottawa Business Matters. I'm Sam LaPrade. I know you're coming back. Stay with us. Okay, I'm going to give you a bit of a warning. You're going to be inspired. My great friend Solange Tuyishime is joining us today, and she is just a force to be reckoned with. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You're here on this incredible show, Ottawa Business Matters,
Yes.
and I think about you in so many different ways.
Yes.
But your leadership skills and what you've brought to this city and what you've brought to me personally, I don't want to get emotional because I will. You mean so much to this city. Do you know that?
No, but yeah, I have a sense, like just being here gives me that sense that I'm building a beautiful family here in Ottawa. Obviously, people like yourselves, like SueLing, and I can name a list of incredible leaders who check in, who support, who go for coffee, for tea, for lunch. So I'm getting a sense that this is a beautiful family that I'm building here in Ottawa, and I love it more and more.
And we feel that way about you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So talk to me. Okay, I mean, you do so much. So when I say to you, introduce yourself, what? Because there's so many different titles. But how would you introduce yourself to someone that's never met you before?
I would probably say I am Solange. I am a humanitarian, a mother of 4, 3 with us, 1 in heaven. An incredibly grateful husband who, by the way, brought me the best coffee this morning.
Yeah.
And I get the opportunity to lead this incredible organization called Elevate International that focuses on advancing women and girls' leadership globally.
Okay. Thank you for that. Because you did that. I couldn't even have done that as beautifully as you did. And I love all of those different areas. There's
you.
one area, you knew I was doing this. There's one area, oh, I'm going to get so emotional. So proud of you.
Thank you.
So you represented this country. So tell us where you just were.
I was at Mrs. World. Honestly, one of the best journeys I've navigated and traveled. I love representing Canada so much. I'm going to try not to get emotional like you. Because I think when you see yourself as a little girl who survives a war and genocide, and one day you're standing in the middle of nowhere, and you just have 2 dresses on your back, and you're living in a tent, a part of you is wondering, where's home for me? What I've been able to achieve as a Canadian is unreal. So for me, when I go internationally and I get to wear this banner that says, whether it's Miss Canada or Mrs. Canada, I wear it with so much pride. And also it demonstrates what our leadership looks like. It's diverse, it's breaking barriers, but it's also showing every woman, every girl, and every leader out there that we can just set the tone for what Canada represents globally and what leadership looks like globally. So coming back from Mrs. World and being the second in the entire world couldn't have been, yeah.
I have no words, honestly. For someone that's supposed to be the interviewer, I will tell you, I followed your journey. Well, I've been following your journey for a long time. But Mrs. World, I was, and I am so incredibly proud of you.
Thank you.
I told everybody, like I would go like, oh, this is my friend. This is my friend. I was showing your picture everywhere. Because not only do I know your story and know how far you've come, but I know how much it meant to you.
Yes.
And we all know how beautiful you are. But here's the thing that I'm hoping today is that people walk away and say, there's a leader in our city.
Thank you. And you know, pageantry was interesting because pageantry kind of saved my life twice. In the beginning, I was this immigrant young girl from New Brunswick who had never gone anywhere because my parents were rebuilding their lives in Canada. And when I won Miss New Brunswick, it was a complete fluke. I had no clue what that looked like, but it told me that I belong here and I could share my message, and it gave me this platform to travel across Canada and inspire people what leadership that makes a difference looks like. The second time was obviously after the loss of our daughter, who we miss every day, and I was trying to figure out, who am I outside of a grieving mother and this person that has gone through so many triumphs in her life? when I entered pageantry, reminded me again what that looks like to build a platform and to inspire others, other than having to tell my children, I survived because of you. I never wanted to put that on our children to say, I'm alive because of you, or I stayed alive because of you. So, and he also inspired me to create Elevate International, because I knew what it looks like when you gather incredible leaders around the world under a common goal. And with that and UNICEF, I was able to create this incredible organization where I understood that if we have women at the leadership table, we're gonna make the world better. And I know it doesn't always seem like that, but as someone who had been a refugee, who had gone through a war, who had gone through a genocide, I saw that most of the time, everywhere around the world, the biggest issues affect women and girls, or women and children, if we really want to make it general, but they're rarely at the leadership table. Decisions are made for them, about them, without them. So I knew if you and I could be at the senior leadership table, and we are impacting the way decisions are made for corporations, for governments, for any decisions that's being made, whether it's local or global, and all of us are there at the leadership table, decisions are going to look different, and we're going to make a better world together.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, I just want to cheer. I mean, that's exactly it. You say it so beautifully. When you think about Ottawa, you think about the Ottawa Board of Trade, you think about the leadership of SueLing Ching, you think about, you know, Erin Benjamin, who we just had on, you think about all these incredible women that are in love with this city just like you and I are. Does that give you hope?
I think it gives me incredible hope. You know what was that has been the biggest challenge for me? Is that we have this beautiful bubble in Ottawa of leaders who almost see no color, no background, and I live in this bubble. And I almost forget the biases, the racism, anything else that exists around the world, because we live in a bubble where those things almost are non-existent. When I created Elevate International, all those leaders you just mentioned, they said yes the first time. They never said, well, how much money does your organization make? How much money do you already have? Or who else is supporting you? They didn't care who else is supporting. They said, this is a great mission. You're a great leader. We're behind you 1,000,000%. It's a beautiful bubble that we have. And I always tell people, if you want to build a business, if you want to advance an initiative, if you want to create something that will start local and go global, national or international, whatever that is, Ottawa is kind of like your perfect family, because you meet these incredible leaders, seasoned, new, incredibly successful, or just on the rise, and they all get to say yes. And it's that heart-centered leadership we get in Ottawa. It's a gift that we don't often talk about. We have a heart-centered leadership and a human-centered leadership where the millionaire will meet you for coffee regularly, and you even forget that they're a millionaire in the tech hub, where SueLing and I, during the pandemic, are on the call just checking on each other. We're literally just having a cup of coffee, or how are you doing? We check in on our mental health, equally as we support each other on the success of our organization and businesses. Yeah, Ottawa is this beautiful hub that we should probably brag about more often.
I agree. So let me ask you this. When I think about women that might come here to start a business, or maybe they've worked in government or the private sector and they're like, I want to do my own thing. What would you say to them?
Go for it.
Yeah.
Like, don't even hesitate, and you will find more people that will say yes to you than no. You know, you read so many quotes about, you know, when the doors close on you, and we don't get too much of that here. Many will say, yes, how can I help? So I always say, don't hesitate, go for it. Every day is a gift that we're so blessed to live. If you have this thing in your heart that's saying, I would love to do this, go for it without hesitation. You will meet the SueLings, you will meet the people like you will meet the Sonia Shories, you will meet I can probably, we could spend a whole day talking about the incredible leaders we have.
100%.
And then the great thing about it is that they're all champions. So from all sectors, all genders, all background, identities, they will say yes. So as a person who dreams big, to every other woman or person who has an incredible initiative that's brewing in their heart and their minds, start now.
How can we learn more about Elevate International?
Oh, elevateinternational.ca. We are getting ready, of course. It's Black History Month, so the closing of the month, we'll be celebrating Black women's leadership alongside many incredible people. And then, of course, International Women's Day, where we'll host International Women's Day on the Hill. I cannot wait to be with all of you.
I know.
We will celebrate women. We will celebrate our champions. And yeah, elevateinternational.ca.
Yeah, it's wonderful, and I'm just so proud of everything that you've accomplished, and that you also are so inviting to people. And I think it's one thing sometimes to come into a community and you're looking for those connections, but you as well make the table longer.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. I absolutely love that. I always say leadership is human-centered first, heart-centered second, and everything else comes after.
When you think about your mentors, we only have about 10 seconds, but who's a mentor for you?
The list goes on. I think every leader that I get to have this personal connection with, and they've been men, women, people from a diverse background.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time. SueLing joining us today, and of course, Solange joining us today. Thank you so much for spending time with us. Solange Tuyishime joining us. We appreciate her time always. This is Ottawa Business Matters, and I am coming back with someone that I think you know already. Stay with us on Ottawa Business Matters. I'm Sam LaPrade, and this is Ottawa Business Matters. Now, I'm warning you, you might get a little bit hungry after this this next guest. Devinder Chaudhary is joining me now from Aiana. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well, Sam. Thank you so much for having me over here.
It's my pleasure. As the owner of Aiana, inspire us about this incredible restaurant. Why did you create this beautiful restaurant in the heart of Ottawa?
Sam, Aiana is literally, the vision and expression thereof of our executive chef, Raghav Chaudhary. I was just the loving dad who signed the check. So, I, as much as I would love to take the credit, it's his vision. Just in 2019, in between his flight from Sweden back to San Francisco, he stopped to meet the family, and that was a good opportunity for me. And I encouraged him to explore whether there were some opportunities over here, and he did put in his time, and he came up with this concept of Aiana. So it is our effort to offer a nice upscale fine dining venue to the city. We have some amazing fine dining restaurants, and Aiana was just one more to complement that that entire offering.
It's amazing. And today is all about inspiring, influencing, and informing about business. And when I think about the invitation I got to go to the opening of Aiana, I was so excited to be there. You were glowing that night as well. Just happy to invite everybody in. I've been back, as you know, because I'm a little bit addicted to the food. There's a few things that are particularly on my mind in terms of the delicious food. The menu's always changing. You're always trying to create those special moments for people in this city. How important is it for you that someone try Aiana for the very first time?
Over the last couple of years, we've gained the reputation of being that special occasion venue. I think we do have our share of business lunches and dinners, and you name it, but I think that special event venue comes from the fact that there's a lot of love and thought and care put into the development of the menu, the way the food is cooked, and the love and the care with which the food is served. I think all that kind of adds up. And as I've said before, I don't know what's the science behind it, but when the food is cooked with love and served with even greater passion, something happens to the food, and which makes it special.
Oh, so I'll tell you that every time I go and it is put in front of me, whatever course, because I don't just go obviously for one course. I'm not going for one course, I'm going for at least 3 courses. So when I go and it's presented, it's so beautiful. And, when I think about it looks like art on a plate. Does that make sense?
Yes, I would agree with
Okay.
that. Yes.
Yeah. So that's something you've heard before, I think.
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Yes, not.
And can I tell you about one thing that I absolutely love is that you walk in and you're transformed. And there's a lot of restaurants that would love to have your secret sauce here because you are transformed into, this is a special place. The details, the staff, all of those things make it something that you want to invite others. I mean, the very first thing I do when I leave is I go, who else can I bring here? So are you finding that with other customers that they bring back maybe another couple with them the next time and that type of thing?
Yes, of course. We have some amazing patrons. Most of our guests, they make a point to come back, and as you said, with friends and family. It's quite humbling, and it's really delightful to see that happen. It's the ultimate expression of acceptance, which means a lot to us. And I think all the credit goes to the team who make a point to make everyone's experience that much more special. I'm not from the industry, but when I look at it, and still, even though it's been 2-3 years as a restaurateur, but I still have that I'm not from the industry mindset. But when I observe our team work, it's really very humbling. It's really delightful. It's nice to see them serving the guests or cooking for the guests with a lot of happiness. And
it comes through.
Yes,
it comes through.
It does.
Now, I remember a couple of years ago, you said to me, Sam, I've got something to tell you. I'm doing business different than others. And you wanted to talk to me about the fact that your restaurant doesn't do tipping. And I was like, well, tell me about this, because I think we always sort of think about restaurants and tipping. Yeah. Why was it important for you to have a different business model?
I'm not sure how many people are aware of it, but the roots of tipping lie in slavery. And I think at some level it is unethical. Let's say for the service staff or for the back of the house staff, their financial well-being, their compensation should be my responsibility. It is my responsibility. My team members should not be subject to the whims and fancies or the mood of a guest. Just because somebody might have had an argument and now they don't want to tip or tip at a certain lower percentage, I think that's not quite professional. I think by not having a tipping model, my team, they give their best to every guest. They're not looking for so-and-so is a good tipper or so-and-so is not a good tipper, and that's a nice table to be at. So every guest is equally important to us. Every guest deserves the same level of service and care. And that's one part of it. The second is, by not having a tipping model, I think that sense of professionalism grows stronger. It means a lot. It means a lot, and you don't need to worry about what am I going to do with this $300 in tip that I got tonight or whatever that number is, because it doesn't last very long. When you have $300 in pocket, Sunday morning it's all gone. But this way, being a salaried staff, it's all reported. My team members can actually take their pay stubs and get a loan or a mortgage or whatever else it is. I mean, it's a more normalized, professional way of doing things.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many good points in there that I never thought about. Being a business owner in this city, we think about the Ottawa Board of Trade, we think about how important it is to become a member and give them all those resources and tools they need to be an advocate. How much have you leaned on the Ottawa Board of Trade as your time as a business owner?
So I heard of Ottawa Board of Trade during pandemic. I would receive these emails, and there was a lot of support, a lot of information that Ottawa Board of Trade was providing, and that encouraged me to join the Ottawa Board of Trade as a member, and thereafter now I'm in their board of directors. I think it's very important for the business community to be part of Ottawa Board of Trade, in the sense that we need a bigger, stronger voice. Ottawa Board of Trade is doing tremendous advocacy, all the more so with focusing more on downtown revitalization. I think we need the business community to come together. We need to have that strong voice. SueLing is doing a great job advocating for the business community, and now it's the time that I think all levels of government, whether it is our city, provincial or federal, they need to step up. Ottawa is a G7 capital. It's the pride of nation. We cannot let it go the Detroit way. We have to step in, we have to put in the resources, and we don't need to be apologetic about it. It is a matter of our right, and it is a matter of national pride at this point. We need our downtown streets that are full of life, vibrant. We need street level storefronts, whether it is art, culture, technology hubs, you name it, music venues. We need a lot more of it. And that's not going to happen by itself. That will happen only when the entire business community speaks with one voice and encourages our I hate to say the word bureaucracy, but the government level entities to step up and take ownership and actually sign a check. The time has come. It's already been 3 years, and some businesses are really hurting.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and we see that. I mean, I think that's why it's so important that businesses become part of this, make it part of their sort of everyday. And we've talked to other business owners who've said, it's kind of a peace of mind for them. Absolutely. That the Ottawa Board of Trade is doing all of this work where they're focused on their business. They know that someone's looking after their business in terms of relating to whether it be government officials or other business leaders. I think it's important.
And it's like our focus is not just to promote the economic activity. We are also focusing on addressing homelessness or the substance abuse problems that we have in downtown. I think all those things put together will make a very tangible and a measurable impact in our city. I mean, we bring in 11 million tourists per year, and what do we have here for tourists? Parliament Hill, your War Memorial, and Chateau Laurier. Okay, we don't have anything special, but in spite of that, because it's such a beautiful city, we are drawing in 11 million people. Oh, yeah. And the largest destination, let's say Orlando, they have 50 million people, tourists coming in every year. But just one company, Disney, has invested $205 billion. So with that kind of investment, if they're bringing 50 million, and without any huge investment, Ottawa is drawing 10 million. I think we have a tremendous potential to grow our tourism, which Ottawa Tourism is doing a great job. I think all these entities need to be given more resources to promote our city and to actually make it the most beautiful G7 capital in the world.
And what would you say to maybe elected officials that are watching us right now, maybe at all those 3 levels of government, as a business owner? What would you say to them to sort of inspire them to dig deep and know how important that business is, that it affects, it's not, we talked about this earlier, it's not the business community and the community, it's everybody.
Absolutely. It's an ecosystem. And we again, it's a matter of pride. It's a matter of pride. We need to understand that we don't have the luxury of letting Ottawa fail. that is not an option. That's not on the table. And things, as I said, don't happen by themselves. Being a numbers guy, you know, I need to see that check on the table, signed by the federal government, a certain portion by the provincial government, and of course our city hall is committed to address this issue. I think the time has come. We have talked enough. We have discussed this enough. Perhaps more than what is required. We have a wonderful report from Yasser Naqvi's the task force. Now is the time for implementation. We cannot wait. Time is of essence.
Absolutely. And we can't wait to go back to Aiana and have a delicious meal either.
Absolutely. You're most welcome.
And thank you so much, Devinder, for your perspective today. And I'm hoping we've encouraged someone to make that special reservation and visit you at Aiana and your very talented son.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much.
I really appreciate it.
Devinder Chaudhary joining us today, of course, from Aiana. And he is a wonderful business leader. We've spoke with lots of leaders today. We're not going to stop. Ottawa Business Matters is here to talk about informing, influencing, and of course, inspiring you in terms of business. I'm Sam LaPrade. Thanks so much for joining us.